Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to today's video. So today is going to be an exciting one here, folks. We have the lit up portal. It is once again time for the POGO event, this time featuring Sacred Shards. As you can already see, we have a whopping 64 Sacreds. No, we're not pulling them all, but we are going to pull until we get the double legendary here. And before folks ask, how on earth do you have this many? I am pure free to play, and yes, these are all free to play obtained, and I just manage them very, very well, and thus I can stack them up over the months. So you may be wondering, why then, if you're such a favorite, why are you pulling for this event in particular? And mathematically speaking, this event is one of the best ways to get the most legendaries on your account at once. Because if you do, for those who don't know how it works, if you do pull a legendary at all with the base rates, mind you, so base rate of 6% per sacred shard, you will get an extra one that cannot be a dupe of the first one. It can be a dupe of something you already have, but you cannot get two Prince Kaimars, for example. So what's in it for yours truly? Well, I am one of the people who relatively diligently tracks their mercy. So you can see here, popped up on the screen, I am 19 sacred shards deep seven deep into mercy, but I pulled 19 sacred shards thus far without a legendary. Therefore, I have a fairly decent odds of getting a legendary within the next handful of sacred shards. Hopefully, that would make this a very, very short video, and then that's what we kind of want to happen today, honestly. So you start to combine all of these factors, this being one of the best ways to get legendaries on your account, me being deep into mercy, and the other factor that I didn't really mention, but I did skip. If you watch my previous videos, particularly during the Deck of Fate saga, you'll know that I did skip the last 2 times Sacreds, and normally I pull around up to 8-ish Sacreds during 2X. And so I skipped that entirely because the Deck of Fate just wasn't worth it. It was RNG on top of RNG, and I do not like that. I like to know what I'm getting for my rewards. RNG I accept with champions, but I do not accept it with rewards. I want to know what I'm getting if I'm pulling shards for it. So that means that I'm basically 8 Sacreds up from my normal count, so somewhere in the mid 50s is usually where I kind of hover. But yeah, so we have somewhat of an excess of sacred shards to burn for this event, and hopefully we can get some good luck and get something off the wish list. So just like the last POGO event, we are going to increase the number of legendaries I include on my wish list because we are getting 2 for the price of 1. So still in the market for one of the poison exploders, Xavier or Eleanor, still would want them on my account. They're a little bit off the meta nowadays for some of the dungeons, but they'd still work for a couple of dungeons, and I'd still like to have them. Valkyrie for Demon Lord Clan Boss team that I want to create, featuring her and a couple other champions that I have. Molly Tankard for the no contact provoke, as well as the revive, really, really great for Hydra. Stick Track has a very cool kit that I'd like to use in Iron Twins. Lord Chamfort for the same reason. His passive is basically a guaranteed decreased speed for Iron Twins, so that'll be cool for my traditional team, non-block damage. And for epics, I'm looking for Cryoden the Blue, one of the new Sylvan Watchers. Maybe a little bit of hard mode Fire Knight in the future, potentially, if that pans out. But more so just for faction wars in the short term, because he does have a bunch of freezes. So that'll be cool. But all right, enough of the preamble. Let's get into the shard pulls here. We've got some space, we've got some cash, and hopefully we get some pretty decent luck. Let's get started. Here we go. Sacred number 1. Is this going to be the shortest video on the channel? And it is! We get, a Calvalax. Okay. He has that cool passive and a Theodore. Wow. Okay. Well, those two pair very, very well together. Can I click on both of them? Oh, you can. Okay, cool. So Calvalax, pretty cool passive here. Places a bunch of poisons at the start of the round, which would work really, really well if I had a poison exploder. Sag. But he does also have an enemy max HP hit here on the A3 that is proportional to the number of poisons. That's the max HP portion of it. This one here can place some extra hits on the A2, so it can hit relatively hard if the target's under a bunch of poisons, which they will be because of his passive. And then he places some poisons on the A1, or no, he increases the duration of all poison debuffs. And for Theodore, his companion here, the passive wasn't that amazing. Yeah, increase resistance for each poison, which adds up a little bit. But he's well known here for this chemistry ability here, where he can activate 1 turn of poisons and 1 turn of HP burn. So kind of like Artak as far as activating HP burns, but he can also activate 1 turn of every poison, and he can place weaken On the A1, it does have an AoE here, which is really nice, and it places decreased speed. And then the A2, of course, places poisons and poison sensitivity on all enemies, and that's nice because it's affinity friendly, because it's just a place. And of course, you do also get the increased speed buff. So he has increased speed, decreased speed, poisons, and then he can pop burns and poisons. So really, really solid champion. And this is a really solid double pull. Well, all right. So that's going to do it. I mean, there's no reason to pull any more. The event is over. So we got lucky there with the one and done. But obviously, of course, I happened to be the case where I was already 19 shards in. And so the 20th shard had a relatively high likelihood of being a legendary regardless. So it is not unreasonable for that to have occurred for me in my situation. And the tradition would have been to also pull some mortal and immortal soulstones, but we've all been informed, even if you haven't, then this is news for you now, that there will be some sort of soulstone chase and soulstone rush equivalent to the champion chase and summon rushes for shards coming to the game. We don't know when, but they are at least in the patch. I believe they're in the game, they're just not active yet, so we don't know when that's going to be. So I'm gonna hold on to mine, and so we are canceling or stopping the tradition of pulling these soulstones when we pull shards, because I want to be able to get some potentially free rewards from doing those events and tournaments. So we're gonna change our tactic here and start saving up our soulstones, waiting for those events. And I will take this moment to say that I'm not one of the people that honestly thinks that they're going to add these into fusions and fragment events, just because you don't unlock Iron Twins at the beginning of the game. Therefore, you literally could not get any soulstones unless fusions would be impossible for new players, which is probably not their intention. Shards you can technically always get throughout the game. Obviously, you get more of them, more of the higher tier ones in the end game than the early game, etc., which makes fusions easier to do. But you always have shards available. You could argue that you can buy them, but again, you don't have the Altar of Souls available at the start of the game, therefore you literally cannot buy soulstones at the start of the game. And so the precedent for them not adding it to fusions, I would say, is essentially Tag Team Arena. So Tag Team Arena has been around for a very, very long time. And if you've noticed, Tag Team Arena tournaments are never part of fusions, because once again, this is level restricted. I think it's level 35. So new players literally cannot do Tag Team Arena until they reach a certain level, and thus fusion fragments wouldn't be accessible to all players, because you'd have to be a certain level to be able to do them. So I think the rule of thumb would be the same for the Altar of Souls and Iron Twins, etc. And so I don't think it's going to be part of fusions. I wouldn't be worried about that. But of course, I do reserve the right to be proven wrong by Plarium. Alrighty, so that's going to do it for today's video. It definitely is going to be one of the shortest on the channel as far as shard pulls are concerned. And yeah, we got a Kavlax and a Theodore. I don't really know if I'm going to build them, use them just yet. That'll be some future me deciding how to do that. But nonetheless, pretty excited. They are both new, so they're non-dupes on my account, and I've been getting a lot of dupes recently, so it's nice to breath of fresh air. Unfortunately, none of them are on my wish list, but you know, it is what it is. You get what you get, so we work with what we have. So despite it being a quick one, as always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.